Hey guys, it's Ames. Today's topic is going to be ranging, or more accurately, how not to range. I'm hoping that maybe you guys can learn from some of my mistakes, some stuff that I really put to the test recently, and I figured I would share. I apologize in advance, I'm a little bit more squirrely than usual. I have been trapped in the house for the last week with COVID, and I have kids, so it's been a very long week. Finally getting, back into the groove of things, and figured I would use this opportunity to come and share some of my most recent discoveries with you guys. So as some of you may know, I was using the Hawk Sidewinder. It's a great scope, but it just wasn't a good fit for me. I don't know if it was just, I think it was just too much for me. I was really struggling with the parallax. I wasn't getting the consistency that I was needing. And so I'm currently using the Element Helix. Great scope. I wish it had a little bit higher magnification since it only goes up to 24, but other than that, I can't complain. I will be the first to admit that my least favorite part of setting up a new scope is having to get the parallax wheel set up. Typically the way that my father and I do this is we will put a piece of masking tape around the side wheel, and he'll set up a measuring tape and I'll sit at the end of it, and he will go stand at different distances holding something for me to range. So I'll range what he's holding, I'll put a dot, I'll do it again, and if I get that same spot, I turn it into a mark, and then we can move on to the next distance. The way I was doing it previously was very inconsistent. I had a couple of things going against me. Number one, I'm a female, so naturally I'm an overthinker. The other thing is I am slightly a perfectionist. That worked against me. What I was doing is I would start with my wheel turned all the way out to like 50-55 yards, and then I would come back in to bring the item into focus, and I was trying to get it as crispy clear as possible, and the perfectionist in me would get it clear, pass it a little bit, and then come back from the other direction until I could get it as clear as possible. It's not as noticeable with the close-up ranges, but when it came to anything past 40 yards, the inconsistency was awful. I was typically anywhere from 5 to 10 yards off because I would start from one direction, pass it, come back the other direction. And I learned very quickly you cannot do that. You have to come from the same direction every time. And the second the image is clear, you stop. So I kind of had to rewire my brain a little bit. Thank goodness for my dad's impeccable patience, because we had to do it all over again. So we set up a new piece of masking tape around the side wheel and basically did it all over again. Although it went much quicker the second go around because I was, trying to keep it as simple as possible. I would start from the same direction, I would turn as soon as it was clear, I'd make my mark, and that was it. And then when we spot checked a few times afterwards, which is where he would stand at random distances and have me range it, I was spot on every time. So that was my big lesson. And as you guys probably know, with field target, consistency is key. Without it, you can't be successful. So that was a hard lesson for me to learn. It was very frustrating to have to go back out and redo everything, but it made a lot of sense once I saw how what I was doing clearly didn't work. Another thing is, this last go around, when we were shooting, I overheard two of the guys that we shoot with talking, and one of the guys asked the other guy what he had ranged the target at. I meandered over because I was curious, because I had already shot that lane and I remember what I had ranged it at, but I was curious as to what they ranged it at. And the guy's response really stuck with me. He said, "It doesn't matter what I ranged it at." And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, "What?" And he goes, "It doesn't matter. What I range it at and what you range it at could be two completely different things." He goes, "Every scope is different, every gun is different, every shooter is different." He goes, "Trust your gear." range it, adjust your elevation for whatever it calls for, and go for it. He goes, don't worry about what somebody else ranged it at. Don't worry about what they're doing or how much they held over. Trust your gear. And that really stuck with me. It's not the first time I've heard it. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me to trust my gear, I'd be rich. But it really is, something that is absolutely true. Trust your gear. So I have to say, between the consistency, the trusting my gear, I shot better at this last go around at the range than I had any other time I had shot that range. So those two things make a huge difference. But I just thought I'd come on here and share that with you guys. Any questions, just leave them in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. I'll chat with you guys next time.